What's up, ACL Nation? This is your host, Trey Ryder. We're back here on the ACL Throwdown. New look for you, a new start. We're just, we're taking this opportunity while we're in quarantine, while we're social distancing, to really bring you a great episode. National Director Todd Kisicki is going to be on this week to talk about ACL Virtual. It's going to be a great episode. This is the ACL Throwdown. Todd Kisicki on the show this week to talk about ACL Virtual. But first, let's give you a little bit of taste of what ACL Virtual is. Our hashtag Trey's Takes for this week's episode. And you guessed it, we're talking ACL Virtual. ACL Virtual is just the latest initiative by the ACL technology platform to really be able to bring players from all over the world together to compete against one another from the comfort of their backyards, and for some of you, maybe even inside the house. It utilizes the bag tracking deck around software within the ACL platform, as well as some live streaming through Facebook and other outlets to bring together different players. So how does it work? You're going to compete as a singles player, as a doubles team, or a blind draw player. You're going to register for an event right through your app.iplayacl.com. Once you're there, you'll search for events, and you'll find all the list of virtual events that are available. You'll click on one, you'll pay right then and there, and then you're going to get a text message with your assignment, and you're going to be given a certain amount of time from the director to complete your deck around. Well, what is a deck around? It's 10 rounds, 4 bags each round. Throw as many in the hole as you can. A perfect score being all 4 bags in for all 10 rounds for 120 points. You and your doubles partner will add your score together against another team, and whoever has the better score will win that round in the bracket. You'll play it just like a normal single elimination or double elimination bracket. A ton of fun, a different way to spice things up. You'll also live stream your event to a dedicated ACL Facebook page and an ACL Facebook event given a certain tournament by the tournament director. So we got you covered from all aspects. So you'll get stats after you finish your deck around. That'll give you streaks. That'll give you your bags in, your bags on, and truly give you a way to measure how well you're doing, especially on a board by yourself practicing. Not the same as normal cornhole, but what it does do is allow players from across the world to compete against one another. ACL National Director Todd Kisicki is going to get into a little bit more of why this means so much to the international sport of cornhole. All right, ACL Nation, we're here with National Director Todd Kisicki. How you doing? How you recovering through all this? Are you in quarantine right now? Are you hunkered down?
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Trey. Yeah. So Erin, my wife is still working, so she has to go to the office 3 or 4 times a week. So I am responsible for staying home and trying to stay healthy with our 6-year-old who is now not going to school for the rest of the year. So I went from working 6-7 days a week and rarely seeing my daughter to getting to see her pretty much 24/7 now.
Oh, geez. Well, I mean, it's a good and bad, I guess. You get some quality time, but at the same time, you're playing nonstop Mr. Dad over there.
Yeah, I get to teach her some bad habits. So, and we think of ways on how we can prank my wife.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. So, as obviously a lot of players across the country getting to the point where they're not able to compete right now in some of these. In our national events, obviously had Cleveland canceled, just announced that Utah is going to be canceled. So, you guys kind of sat down, and while I was kind of trying to do other things and trying to, I guess, make myself look pretty on TV or something like that, you guys were actually working and getting this ACL Virtual out there. So, give people just watching for the first time, let's give them a little scoop on what ACL Virtual is and what it can mean for them.
Yeah. I mean, well, after the initial shock of Cleveland getting canceled, passed. It was, what now? How can we get players still playing? So, and I know there's some other online groups out there, and ACL Pro Bobby Fink has done a good job. He's been doing some of those for the past several months. But what I essentially, since I got on the plane back from Cleveland, I was like, what can we do? And we started talking about, hey, how can we build in what we're already doing at the ACL level with our software, and get it so that players are using it with the end goal of having them learn the software that we've got, so that we get to our ultimate goal of players starting to collect stats on how they're throwing, because that's Stacy, the commissioner, that's his big push is the statistics part of the game is really going to push this into a legitimate sport. So almost immediately, once we found out Cleveland was canceled, it was, we got to start coming up with something, and let's get a way for our players to continue playing and being part of the ACL.
Yeah, and you guys have done a great job getting this launch out there. Thanks. And the deck around format. We got doubles, blind draw, singles. It's got a lot of different elements. My biggest question is, when are we having an ACL staff virtual event? I know Madden's probably sitting at home just like waiting for us to get that going.
Yeah, well, that was one of the specialty events I thought of, having maybe a director event. At this point, I throw maybe 2-3 times a year, so I'm probably pretty dreadful. I heard Dave Weiser used to be a baller at the earlier in his career, so I'd probably either want him or Madden as my partner.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit more about you. So you've kind of transitioned recently into a different role. Josh Keck jumping into the national director role, and I think that's more for you to kind of open up and do something a little bit different. So you've been working a little bit with international tournaments and international leagues and what have you. So give the people a little bit of insight of what you've kind of been doing now that you've moved away from that national director role.
Yeah. I wanted to focus on a couple of things. One is creating more content. I like developing the training materials for both players and directors. So that was something that I felt we were lacking on, with some of those educational pieces for players. So that's something I'll be working on. But also Stacy, the commissioner, his big push is for expanding the ACL and cornhole in general into an international thing, so that we can continue towards that kind of end goal of getting cornhole to be an Olympic sport. So, right now I've been reaching out to directors over the last 3-4 months in various countries, from Australia into Germany with Cornhole Europa. I'd like to get some of the Latin America and Central America countries on board as well. So that's kind of where I was before the whole COVID-19 shut everything down, and all my focus turned to ACL Virtual. But now that we've got phase 1 just about ready to launch for ACL Virtual, it'll be time to start rekindling some of those conversations and inviting those international players and directors to start participating in some of these international events.
Yeah, it kind of partners perfectly with what you've been working on with international, and then this virtual. It's almost a good way for people to jump right in internationally. It's not that they have to make the commitment to travel across the country to play against some of our top pros. They can start playing right now, and they can get plugged in, and they can, and even networking, getting to know some directors, and I think it does so much for growth.
Absolutely, and I was talking to somebody about this earlier today too. When I would run events, a lot of times a person who was just coming for the first time would say, "Hey, I've been following you for months now. I always wanted to come out, but I was scared to come out and play in a live tournament." This virtual component, not only for new players, but maybe international players who are just starting out, is perfect, because they can do it from the comfort of their houses. Of course, they've got a video on them, which might be intimidating, but at least they can get them some of that tournament type exposure and experience, so that when it comes time, when COVID-19 passes and we can start doing our in-person events, those players who might have been apprehensive at first can say, hey, I know where I stand now. I can shoot a 60 on my deck around. I know I can shoot at the intermediate level, and then they can come on out. So that's really, having those new players and directors who want to start doing this is a perfect opportunity for them.
Yeah, so I mean that all sounds great. So if someone's watching this and they want to know, oh, I love this ACL Virtual, I want to try it out, what's their first step? Where should they be looking? What should they be doing?
Well, right at the there's two places. They can go right to our iPlayCornhole.com website or iPlayACL website. They can. Sean is going to be launching the virtual webpage tomorrow. That's just about finished. And then eventually everything will go through our ACL web apps. So app.iplayacl.com. Players can either log in, or if they're brand new players, they can sign up right on that site. There are free memberships. There are for paid memberships, but everybody can sign up for a free membership. And then search for any virtual tournament. That's really the beautiful part about it. If I'm running a virtual tournament in Phoenix, I could have players from all over the country, all over the world sign up for my events and participate.
So cool. I love it. You guys are doing a great job staying busy amid all of this mess. Maybe living extra busy. I think we're more busy trying to come up with all these different ideas ever since this virus has kicked in. But Todd, I thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and man, keep up the good work.
All right. Thanks, Trey, for having me.
Todd Kisicki, such a brilliant mind. Did you guys know he's a doctor? He is Dr. Todd Kisicki, PhD in education. You can see why he has such a passion for teaching others about different things, about different events, obviously about this new software that we're rolling out. Really lucky to have Todd. And if you want to play in an ACL virtual event, get right on your player app.iplayacl.com. You can head to that website, log in with your player login information, go to My Events, search for your event, pay right there, get playing, and earn some cash while you're fighting through this quarantine. That's all the time that I got this week for the American Cornhole League. This has been your host, Trey Ryder. We'll see you guys next week.